everyone. How are you? Welcome to Kleros community call number. What number is this call, Jean?
Oh, I have
4,000.
no idea.
Okay, we will just keep the count through the day. So it's November 6th, the day after some, I would say, very historical moment. As you know, there was a US election yesterday, which was won by the Republican Party, Donald Trump. So, well, everybody's focused on that. I'm not going to get into details of politics, just to say that, uh, well, I mean, all of the polls that were done, not all, but a lot of the polls that were done failed to predict how the race would end, and it seems that it's time is coming for this other technology of crowdsourcing collective intelligence based on markets, or called prediction markets, which seem to have got the results better than the surveys. And um, I was reviewing some old stuff today, and I noticed that I had written. I mean, I have mentioned many times that I have been following um, prediction markets for a long time now, and because I'm interested in collective intelligence, and I wrote a blog post about why prediction markets would be the end of political surveys and polls. And this was, and I cannot lie about this because it's not on the blockchain, but it's on Medium where I wrote my blog post. This was in July 2015. So in July 2015, I was predicting that prediction markets would become a very interesting technology for political, predictions, and not just political, it could be used for lots of different things. I explained to people how this worked, and I was not thinking of blockchain prediction markets that didn't exist. And 1 month after that blog post, I make an edit, and in that edit, I say, okay, Augur alpha version of Augur is it's launching now. So this was before Augur even launched, which was the first prediction market, as I understand, based on blockchain. And then we had Gnosis. I've been following Gnosis for a very, very long time. I met Martin Koppelman in Silicon Valley in 2016 before they did their very famous ICO with the reverse Dutch auction. So yeah, I mean, to me, even if I have not continued that much into prediction markets themselves, but Clement is more like a fan of prediction markets and future key and all of the stuff that you can build based on prediction market primitives. To me, it's also cool to see that these ideas are taking root, and I see this time it seems that prediction markets start to become part of more of the mainstream narrative. The bad news is that I thought that before, because this is not the first time that prediction markets are used in the context of campaigning and political elections. But I mean, I think that this time it's becoming more widespread than before. So I hope that this is a time when this actually takes off and starts like working well and becomes part of the everyday narrative, and becomes part of a new way in which collective intelligence can help improve our political systems. I mean, yeah. So that is just wanted to mention that. Then this is a week full of extremely good news. For starters, we announced a few days ago the agreement we had with the Supreme Court of Mendoza. Mendoza is one of the most important provinces in Argentina, province which is a very crypto province for a long time. We typically, when we do the community meetings with community members from Kleros from Argentina. We typically do it in Mendoza because it's a beautiful place. It has very good wine. It has also very good projects from blockchain. Some of the big OGs of the Argentinian crypto ecosystem are from Mendoza. Mike Tango Bravo, founder of Open Vino, the first ever winery to tokenize wine, is from Mendoza, and so we did that. So we went last week there with the members of the community from Argentina, and did our gathering. We do about like every 2 years, and in that context, what we did is also announcing this very important agreement, historic agreement between Kleros and the Supreme Court of Mendoza to start using Kleros into one of the municipalities in Mendoza, which is called La Valle. And it's going to be used as a consultation for different cases involving consumer claims, like neighborhood claims, and this was presented into a very important event for the judiciary from all of Argentina, and there were like lots of media coverage. I was on TV explaining how Kleros works, and this has the potential of really overhauling the way in which traditional courts work. Just for example, in one of the pilot cases we did as part of the tests for this agreement, a case that was solved by one of the courts in Mendoza was solved by Kleros in only like 2 days. It took like 2 years. Traditional court was solved by Kleros in 2 days, and this is what, if you see the media coverage that about the agreement, you will see that journalists, picked that number as what they wanted to show. Of course, this is only consultative. It's not that Kleros is going to replace courts in Mendoza, but it's a very important first step to start introducing these tools into everyday decision making. So as this is being done in the case of Lemon as part of a service to a private company, now Kleros is also part of the dispute solution in the context of a public court system. So this is an extremely important event for us, and it's a result of many years of working into building legitimacy for decentralized justice. This is a new methodology for dispute resolution that we invented at Kleros, basically. And this is a very, very important step in the sense of starts in Mendoza. Now everyone wants that. It's being displayed in lots of traditional media outlets, first in the traditional newspapers from Argentina or online media, and then crypto people started noticing this, and you might have seen publications, for example, yesterday at the Defiant, which is one of the most important crypto media outlets. So this is an extremely great piece of news, and it comes also at the same time of another extremely important piece of news, which is the almost deployment of the Kleros 2.0 new version that we have been developing for a long time. JB is here, so he's a lead of engineering of Kleros, and he's a leader of the project for the launch of Kleros 2.0. I will ask him to start doing the microphone thing, so he can tell us a bit more. I'm just going to give you some short introduction about 2.0. We launched the current version of Kleros. Actually, before the current version, we launched a previous version that I would call Kleros Alpha, that was used for dodges on trial. Then we launched, that was in 2018. Then we launched the current version that we call Kleros Liquid in 2019. That's like 5 years ago. This, I would say, the prehistory, and we launched that during the ETC in that year. And after that, we've done lots of research and lots of development of different products, but focusing on the court. When we started Kleros, there was the only way to build the system was with token voting, because there was no system for on-chain identity. So if you wanted like a number of refinements, like for example, one person, one vote, that was not possible because you would not know if behind the different addresses in Ethereum you have maybe the same person controlling everything. So that was something we could not do. We could not make courts where people could choose who they wanted to draw as jurors from a predefined pool. For example, when we this is, I mean, prehistoric, but I can tell you this. For example, when we were starting Kleros, we had discussions, for example, with Liberland, and the president of Liberland, he, when we discussed using Kleros for the country, okay, he wanted just Liberland citizens to be eligible as jurors into the cases that would be solved in the court. That was not possible. There was no way to make sure that only citizens from the predefined pool of Netherlands citizens would be chosen, even if we wouldn't know the identity, but still that was not possible. So over time, we had a number of improvements that some of them came from our own research, others came from the fact that the blockchain ecosystem started developing new tools. Some of them, like proof of humanity. So the fact that now you could have one person, one account, and you could prevent civil attacks without necessarily having to have a token. Then, after you have this proof of personhood protocols, then you can start adding other refinements. For example, soulbound tokens, which can represent belonging to a community, for example, being a citizen of Mendoza or of Liberland, or this could represent skills. For example, you need to pass a test of your knowledge about NFTs or about digital art or about insurance or about whatever, in order to be eligible to be drawn into the cases in a particular court. So all of those refinements and all of the research that William did over time are part of the modules that will start to be added into the court. And on top of that, new ways of making decisions. For example, Kleros can handle non-binary decisions, but not in the best way. With the new social choice theory that we have developed, Kleros can make the jurors choose among ranked choices, different options, and also part of the improved ecosystem in the world of blockchain. Layer 2, for example, make it that you can have a system which is way cheaper than the first version of Kleros we deployed on the Ethereum mainnet back in the day. So all of these little tools that came from different parts end up with a design space for this distributed solution which is way wider, and a system which can be way cheaper, especially considering that we want to target like smaller value disputes. So all of these things that are now converging into what is Kleros 2.0, that I know you want to know what is the next step. I mean, very soon, are enabling a system that can resolve disputes in a way which is going to be way cheaper, faster, and with decision-making logics that we need to implement in order for us to be able to target a number of new use cases that you already know over time: consumer disputes, Lemon, insurance. We have already been experimenting with, like, these are not crypto projects. These are existing companies which currently have disputes, lots of those disputes to solve, and Kleros can do this better than different other tools. Okay, I will now shut up and give the space for JB to tell us a bit about Kleros 3.0. Where are we with this and what's coming? Yeah, go ahead.
Hey everyone, thanks Federico for the intro. Yeah, okay, so Kleros V2, we've been talking about it for a long time. We've gone through a number of testnet deployments, and some community members have taken part in the testing in using those, at the beginning, very early stages, new codes. So far we had 3, and just today I'm actually announcing it at the same time. We have the latest, the 4th testnet code with the latest and greatest frontend. And it was so far missing one very critical feature that took a lot of work, and that was notifications. It's something that works on V1, but it was working using some very outdated technology on the backend. So it's something, getting notifications to work in a blockchain application is actually not something very interesting for crypto projects. Usually it's actually more of a Web2 sort of problem. And we had a very old solution for that, which is the one running for Kleros V1. So we started from a blank slate, and we've had a number of engineers working on it for the past few months, with a very modern foundation to support all the needs that Kleros V2 will have on the backend side. That includes a bunch of things, again, that we might take for granted, such as uploading files in the code, but even in the other arbitrable applications. Typically, policy documents for disputes, or for curated lists, icons or different media to support evidence. And doing all of this in a secure way is something we've been working on. Increasing the quality of service that was sometimes not optimal. So I said notifications, uploads, and authentication as well. So we've integrated a standard authentication method, crypto native method, which is sign in with Ethereum. It's an ERC, it's a standard. Instead of, for example, rolling out our own authentication protocol with our backend services. So, okay, it's very technical what I'm saying, but basically to say that we've put a lot of work in this new backend that is going to support Kleros V2 and the other arbitrable apps, V2 arbitrable apps. We will also try to migrate the old V1 apps if possible. And what else am I missing?
Maybe, JB, short introduction. I mean, some people in the audience might not exactly know what is different from the technical perspective. I already explained a bit about the general edition. I mean, but this is deployed on Arbitrum. Explain a bit more about the basics for people who might not have been following that closely.
Yes. So Kleros V2, first of all, is not deployed on Ethereum L1, but on L2. So that means we get cheaper transaction fees. That means we can resolve disputes of much lower value and still retain incentives for the jurors. At the same time, that comes with sometimes a few things that work differently on the rollups. And that means we also, the vision is to also be able to arbitrate on disputes which might be might be created on other chains, not necessarily Arbitrum. So we also developed some solutions to this cross-chain problem, which is we want to be able to receive disputes requests from other chains and also be able to relay ruling decisions to that chain. So the goal is that if you're building an arbitrable application and you want to get a ruling from Kleros, you might be in Ethereum, on Gnosis chain, on Optimism, and you will be able to send your requests, your arbitration request to the Kleros V2 courts, and you will get a ruling back where you are. So that's one thing. And then Kleros V2 also is much more modular. So it's designed to let us over time implement some newer, maybe more sophisticated mechanisms. Like William can talk about it much more, and there's plenty of information about it in the yellow paper. But essentially, we know of many other ways of, for example, drawing jurors, different ways of rewarding them, different ways of crowdfunding and appeal. And we can implement what we call dispute kits with those different mechanisms. And an arbitrable contract could request to have a dispute resolved through one of those different dispute kits. Depending on the use case, depending on the use case, it might make more sense to use maybe different mechanisms. And that's something that was not possible with Kleros V1. So Kleros V1 in that regard is more future-proof to experiment with new dispute resolution mechanisms.
Cool. Well, and what is the status, JB? This is deployed, it's going to be deployed. What are the next steps?
All right. So the new testnet that I've just mentioned, which is our fourth V2 testnet, is live right now. We'll communicate everything after the call. And right after, we are deploying on Arbitrum 1. So it's an upgrade of the previous Neo deployment that we mentioned. That was not really used or already. Maybe not need to come back on it, but that was actually targeting an Arbitrum grant earlier this year. So we are redeploying on Arbitrum 1 in the coming days. And so if you've been a user on one of our testnets, you can take part in this new Kleros V2 deployment, which we are calling beta, mainnet beta. And we will share all the information you need to know, but essentially you will be you will go to a galaxy.com page where you can claim an NFT, and this NFT allows you to stake on the court. The reason why we are doing this is to manage the risk, because it's a beta deployment. We don't want anyone to get too much exposure. We are still working on getting audited, so that's why we are doing this, and we also want to sort of give a chance to our previously most engaged users to get involved and possibly rewarded. So we are going to have some disputes on this new deployment, on this V2 deployment. I think we can say that there are going to be lemon disputes most likely, and hopefully, if everything works out well in the coming days, we'll have the first V2 dispute resolved on Arbitrum 1. Yeah.
So today we are
actually doing the deployment of Kleros 2.0 on Arbitrum. That's correct?
So on Arbitrum, we are deploying it. We'll do some internal checks. So probably like end of the week, before we make it really official. Today, what we can make official is the new testnet, the fourth testnet, and the Arbitrum 1, the new Arbitrum 1 deployment, the Core V2 beta, is getting deployed, but it take a day or two to make sure that everything is working fine.
Perfect. So then,
welcome the era of Kleros V2. So I mean, it's going to be deployed, and maybe you can also comment a bit on what is coming after this deployment, which is going to be gated behind an NFT to make sure that members of the community who are more engaged can test it first, and then there is the audit thing. So it's going to be deployed sequentially. What's coming later? So we said that soon. Well, we said first that we would launch V2 in production before DevCon, which is going to happen this week. So this is a very important step for us. What's coming later? What are the next step after?
So the next steps, we will gather all the feedback. We'll keep monitoring for the coming weeks that everything is working as expected. And at the same time, we will start the auditing process. So we'll be talking to security partners. We have been going through this process already for Proof of Humanity recently, and we also have in the ecosystem SEER that has gone through this process. So yeah, there shouldn't be. I mean, finding an auditing partner shouldn't be a problem. There'll probably be an competitive auditing, an audit competition. I mean, most likely on what I mean, I lost the name. Okay, never mind. Yeah, we'll make sure that everything is secure, and we'll slowly remove the training wheels. So over time, we'll remove the NFT gating. And yes, and then there's the migration of the existing V1 arbitrable contracts. So we are working on VR, which is our bridging solution to get the rulings out to other networks, and we will use VR to make sure that the existing arbitrable contracts that are currently working with V1 are seamlessly as possible, probably with a few caveats, but we'll make those contracts capable of sending their disputes to V2. So essentially the old V1 court going through a governance vote, there will be some relayer contract that will make the disputes received by the court V1 being relayed to the court V2. And so essentially the court V1 will become like an empty shell of sort. And so that's what we've been calling it the Kleros merge internally. So at a high level, the Kleros V2 launch, you could think of it as first a launch for the disputes on the same chain, which is disputes being created on Arbitrum. And in a second stage, cross-chain disputes, which is the full scope of V2.
Yeah. So
that's well, very, very important milestone for us. And well, now you have a more clear roadmap. Of course, we will publish all this under a blog post form so you can understand what the sequence looks like. I mean, I'm super excited because of different things, but in particular because this enables well, I mean, the use cases that the demand we are having from use cases coming from like lots of companies and governments, and that were not very easy to implement because of requirements such as gated, jurors, because people wanted them to belong to the community or to have some skills. So this enables that. This will enable also a number of improvements in some things that you might not think as important. People tend to think about Kleros of only in the way of the jurors making the right decision. But let me tell you something. A very important feature of Kleros is not just making a decision, but jurors giving a justification which is acceptable by parties. Like, for example, why one party won or lost. So jurors need to justify that, and customers want to know that justification. And how do you make the juror provide a justification? How do you force him? Well, that is another incentive problem to solve, which we have been working on, and this involves curation of justifications, juror misbehavior, Kurt. I mean, if you start watching all of the Williams talks over the years in the different conferences, you will see that all of these little things started to converge into the use cases that we are working on now, which are, like, as I said, real life use cases for insurance companies, for governments, for potentially gaming companies, for fintech companies. So all of the different real life high volume cases are now reachable for us, and that was not the case before. So this is an extremely important milestone. I will also maybe let William, who has been a very important part of this mechanism design work, to comment a bit on how he sees this.
Yeah, I mean, you've already said most of the important things. Like, I'm looking forward to these sort of modules that are based on the research we've been doing for years being deployed, to have better vote aggregation mechanisms, better incentive mechanisms, different mechanisms to handle these sort of identity aspects and curation of juror justifications that you've been talking about. To, in a lot of ways, this is a sort of philosophical point. I V1 of Kleros was like limited by this sort of tools that are available in crypto, particularly around identity. So it was a very crypto platform. Like, you know, we really leaned into the sort of crypto economic incentives, which are powerful and, you know, produce good disputes at a low cost, good like dispute rulings at a low cost. But in many ways, people are familiar with sort of Web 2 kind of user experience in their sort of web applications. And people often want that from their dispute resolution. And so, like, a lot of the research we've been doing over the years gets to the sort of question of, like, okay, like, if you expand the toolbox in Web 3, how can you have Web 3 levels of decentralization and security with something that has some more Web 2 user experience?
Yeah. So, and to add into this also, we are also starting to add new, what I call sometimes like apps that, so the protocol with V2, the protocol is reaching the stage that we want it to be, in the sense of being flexible enough to accommodate different use cases, being cheap enough to address like lower value use cases. And now what we are also working on is how to make this better, I mean, more usable for like real life combat. So, for example, one of the main problems we had over time, and that was a friction point for resolving like real life disputes, was privacy concerns. So, as you know, that in many cases, parties who are involved into a dispute, they don't want all of the information going out. So, anonymization was one of the big problems. How do you solve this? I mean, we were not able to solve it at the protocol level because of a number of problems involving jurors need to receive the information. So, but over time, also different tools like AI became more advanced and sophisticated, and now there are like actually AI tools that do the anonymization automatically. So when we load a case into Kleros, it can be previously anonymized by one of these tools. And this what this means that now we can also address a number of use cases where anonymity is extremely important, and this can be done very cheap without having to have like one person read all of the documents. So because these are tools that we did not develop, but that other legal technology companies developed because of other reasons, but this is something that can be like integrated through an API into the enterprise process that brings cases to Kleros. So this will, I believe, unlock lots of different use cases where privacy is a very important feature. But this isn't. But look, that this is not part of the protocol. This is part of how you onboard cases into the protocol, and this is what we have been developing over time. As you know, these mixed technologies or hybrid technologies, combining AI and blockchains to resolve like the cases of real life, companies. So this is what's coming now that the protocol is, I mean, it's going to be deployed, the new version. Now what's coming is improving the modules for addressing better social choice, options, and improving the the voting systems, the identity systems, and all that. And on the other side, plugging these different like non-blockchain technologies on the protocol to address, I mean, more and more use cases. So congratulations, JB, for this development process. I mean, and William as well for all of the research that was put into this. I'm super happy to be able to finally make this announcement. It took a long time because of, well, this is a bit like building a cathedral. There are so many different things that needs to be combined from different aspects. It took a long time, but now it's almost there. We already explained how this is going to work. We are going to publish things so you can read it and take your time and check it. Anything else, JB, you want to say about V2 or William?
No, I think we'll provide all the details probably on Telegram. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
So another thing coming these days is, next week we are going to be in DevCon. we are going to have a bunch of, well, as you know, we go not every year because there is no DevCon every year, but every year there was a DevCon. We went since the Cancun 2017 DevCon. We were there. We went to Prague, we went to Osaka, we went to Colombia, and now we're going to Bangkok. And we have a bunch of talks. We have one talk by William. I mean, you can explain your talk, William, if you want. Yeah.
Sure. I'm going to be talking about how do you design oracles for number values, so like real number values. The most famous example of this, the one that's most widely used currently in crypto, is price oracles. Some DeFi application needs to know the price of something. What is the right way to generate that information for the blockchain application? Zooming out, there's a broader class of questions about what applications that would need real number values. In Kleros, we're all about solving subjective disputes. It needs some amount of human effort. And there are, of course, real number value disputes like that, like if you have some kind of dispute over insurance payouts, and people deserve some partial compensation, but not the maximum payout their insurance possibly could pay them in the worst possible catastrophe. How do the jurors provide the information of what the value of compensation should be, and how do you do this in a way that's resistant to various attacks, that has good aggregation properties, similar to the kinds of social choice theory research questions we talk about in general for having modules for Kleros v2, but in the specific case of number value outcomes.
Yeah, so
about that, if you like the mechanism design type of topics that William researched, we are co-organizing with the King's College London the first ever conference on mechanism design for decentralized justice. We did conferences in the past, but they were more generic, and one part of those conferences were about mechanism design. But this one is going to be just about mechanism design. This is going to be, William, this is in April 26th, if I'm not wrong.
I believe so, yeah.
We will confirm.
I think it's the 26th.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So it's
late April.
Yeah, it's going to be in London, and we are co-hosting this with very important university from the UK called King's College. We have already mentioned that we're working together with Oxford Computer Science Department to fund a student mechanism design. I mean, this is going to. We are now starting to recruit the student. If you are a computer science PhD candidate, or you want to be, and you want to go to Oxford for free, and potentially be on your way to win a Nobel Prize, according to ChatGPT. I'm not lying, in decentralized justice. So you can apply to this. You would work under Paul Goldberg, who is a very important computer scientist and mechanism designer, game theory, computational equilibria, machine learning expert. This is part of our work to foster a research community on decentralized justice. So there is this PhD at Oxford, funded half by the Kleros Cooperative, half by the Computer Science Department at Oxford. The bad news is that you need to be a resident in the United Kingdom to apply. I'm sorry. But maybe you can move to the UK and then apply. And so April 26th, the conference, Paul, of course, is going to be there, and a bunch of other experts in mechanism design are going to be there. So if you happen to be in London or the UK or anywhere in the world and you want to travel there, feel free to go. So that's another cool thing. What I'm saying, because of the because it's part of the research that we do for the oracles and the improving the decision making at Kleros for addressing more use cases. So one thing. Then there is a talk by Clément about prediction markets, the workshop about Seer explaining how prediction markets work and all that. I mentioned a bit this in the beginning. Me and myself, I'm going to host a panel on decentralized law, not at the DevCon, but at a side event called Parallel Societies Congress that is organized by Logos. I'm going to host this panel with Eric Alston, a professor at the University of Colorado, very important designer of constitutions for protocols. Kelsey Naben, who is from Australia, and she's a researcher on decentralized governance. She's part of Blockchain Gov. And Layer Zero, who is a very important member of the Maker, well, I don't know what the name, but the Maker DAO governance. So we are going to discuss different topics about decentralized governance and law. So that's me. Then we, Jean, do you remember the other talks? Oh, and wait, in that same event, there is one workshop done by Juan and by Jan about a workshop on how to use Kleros, I mean, for people who want to become jurors. And then Jean, yeah, you remember better than me. I think Wang Mian, Alex, we have a bunch of other talks, right?
Yes, we have. Well, I think the first event will be our participation on the Governance Day organized by SID Latam, which is a group of people here in Latam that participate in different DAOs, and they are organizing this event. And Jamila will be giving a talk about her research on this decentralized dispute resolution. And if I'm not mistaken, Juan will also be a part of a panel on DAO treasury management. Well, after that, Guambian will be giving a talk at an event on decentralized insurance. I think the event's called D1 Conf. Yeah. And he participated a couple, I believe, last year as well. And Clement will be giving a talk at the Blockchain Oracle Summit. This is a very specialized event, let's say, with
Too specialized
for my knowledge.
Yes, yeah, for most of us, I think.
Maybe William can understand it.
Yeah, and well, it's very important to be a part of it because Kleros is a subjective oracle, and there are not many oracles like Kleros. And
correct.
I think these are the main events, but there's also an event that we're organizing with Shutter. It's called Night of the Elephants, and it's an event for protocols that are building primitives for crypto. And I think there are a couple of other participants in the event. I don't have the complete list now, but yeah, the Shutter guys, which are very close to us, will be there.
Cool. Okay.
Well, I guess we covered a lot today, from the prediction markets to I guess Supreme Court agreement, insurance, Kleros enterprise, V2 deployment. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's enough for today. Thank you very much all for coming, and wish me luck for my 40-hour travel to Thailand. But it's fine. If you live at the end of the world, you are get used to that. Anything else you want to say? Maybe JB. I mean, maybe for you to close this very important community call of the week.
No, just looking forward to see the rest of the team and many people in the community in DEF CON.
Okay, guys, thank you for coming. And if you are going to DEF CON, feel free to ping us, and happy to meet you. And otherwise, we will meet again. I don't know if there's going to be community call next week because of all of the DEF CON thing, but I mean, if you are there, we can meet in person. Otherwise, we will keep you informed, and we will release more information about V2 very soon. Thank you, guys. See you very soon.
Bye,
Everybody.
everyone.